Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. Coming up next. The President of the Republic stresses the necessity to promote African cooperation in terms of knowledge economy at the opening ceremony of the African Conference on Startups. The President of the Republic is fully aware of the citizens' aspirations regarding justice and puts forward Algeria's comeback on the regional and international scene. The Army General Said Shingiriha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, officially installs the new commander of the 2nd Military Region. And the Moroccan regime is severely castigated for its repressive policy towards citizens always in quest of their legitimate rights. Good evening, those were the headlines. First, our news and integrating startups in promoting the African economy was high on the agenda of the proceedings of the conference chaired by Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman and attended by several cabinet members. In his message to the participants, the President of the Republic called for a better knowledge economy to face up the different challenges. Melissa Kubash reports.
The proceedings were presided over by Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman in the presence of several members of the government, ambassadors of African countries, and representatives of different enterprises and professional organizations. In his speech read out by the Prime Minister, the President of the Republic stressed the necessity to establish a dynamic African cooperation and the promotion of knowledge economy through the relaunch of mechanisms of investments and exploitation of the African market to move towards a leadership able to face up challenges. The President also underlined the development challenges in the continent, which requires the creation of a mechanism up to its current economical needs. You are all aware the development challenges in our continent are many and requires the establishment of mechanisms that measure up to Africa by enhancing the role of startups in African countries' economies that proved its efficiency in achieving sustainable development. Therefore, it is very important to merge the terms of startups, innovation and entrepreneurship in the economic system of our African countries due to its youth's potentialities and the development of the educational system, as well as the easy access to knowledge. The President also indicated that this meeting will allow the launching of an open workshop for innovation. It will be devoted for consultation and dialogue for the social and economic development of the continent. Gathered all here today in your country, Algeria, you are preparing for the creation of a workshop that will represent a space for consultation and dialogue, which will allow the social and economic development for our continent. It will also lead to solutions that will uproot brain drain and contribute to the establishment of a development strategy to attract more qualified competences towards our country. For his part, the Minister of Startups, Yassine Al-Mahdi Walid, highlighted the necessity to establish a financial mechanism for startups. We need to find economic and political mechanisms to allow startups to spread faster in the African market and exchange expertise in this field. It will also allow the modernization of financial means that meets the African youth's expectations. Several Algerian and African project holders took part during this event where they discussed the numerous challenges encountered as well as the public policies adopted by African countries for the promotion of startups and knowledge economy.
The right of the citizen in the constitutional justice was the motto of the international seminar held here in Algiers by the Constitutional Court after 1 year of its creation. In a message read out by the President's advisor in charge of judicial affairs, the President of the Republic indicated that he is fully aware of the citizens' aspirations for a real justice in the new Algeria. Melissa Kubash once again.
The opening ceremony took place in the presence of the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, the President of the Constitutional Court, Omar Belhaj, Prime Minister Ahmed bin Abdurrahman, and members of the government. On behalf of the President of the Republic, the advisor in charge of judicial affairs, Barlam Barlam, assured the President's awareness concerning the people's aspirations for a real justice in the new Algeria, and that the Constitution, at the origin of the Constitutional Court, made it a bulwark for democracy and the stability of the Republican system.
يقول السيد رئيس الجمهورية منذ 3 سنوات.
The President of the Republic declared 3 years ago on December 19, 2019, I've been officially installed as President of the Democratic Republic of Algeria, a responsibility that I carry with loyalty to honor the people's trust. I am completely aware of its aspirations when it comes to justice, prosperity, and development in a feared, respected new Algeria, which occupies the place it deserves at the regional and international levels. The President of the Republic also affirmed that the setting up of the Constitutional Court comes to put into concrete form his commitment to establish the state of law pursuant to the Constitution.
إنه لمن بواعث الاعتزاز والارتياح أن أتوجه إليكم من منبر هذا الملتقى الدولي.
I am very proud to address you on this occasion of this international forum, where we celebrate the first anniversary of the creation of the Constitutional Court, an institution created in accordance with the constitutional revision blessed by the Algerian people on November 1st, 2020, a text that outcast our supreme commitments. We worked through this profound revision on the Constitution to establish a state of law, enrich the system of rights and freedoms, and push the protection mechanism. We've also granted a great importance to the immunization of the judicial system so as to reinforce peace and social justice through the edification of efficient institutions that protect rights and preserve them from any violation. For his part, the President of the Constitutional Court, Omar Belhaj, affirmed that this court is an institution to be proud of. It's been already a year since the creation of the Algerian Constitutional Court, a judicial institution set up by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, that brought major reforms, including the global profound revision of the Constitution. The 2020 constitutional revision granted the primacy of the Constitution, as well as the promotion of the constitutional justice. It is worth mentioning that this important meeting also gathered constitutional experts from Egypt, Italy, Russia, and Turkey.
In a different context, and on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, the Army General Saeed Shingariha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, officially installed the new commander of the 2nd Military Region in Oran. Ines Kilo will tell us more.
After the welcoming ceremony and at the entrance of the region's headquarters, the Army General observed a moment of silence in memory of the late Mujahid Ahmed Boujnan, known as Si Abbas, whose name is borne by the headquarters, where he laid a wreath of flowers in front of his commemorative stele and recited the Fatiha, or the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, over his soul and those of our valiant shuhada or martyrs. At the end, the region's executives and personnel were reviewed at the Arms Square by the Army General.
باسم السيد رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة وزير الدفاع الوطني، ووفقا للمرسوم الرئاسي المؤرخ في 28 نوفمبر.
He announced on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, and in accordance with the Presidential Decree of November 29, 2022, the official installation of the Commander of the 2nd Military Region, Major General Mohammed Tayyib Barakni, as the successor to Major General Jamal Haj Al-Arousi. To this effect, the Army General ordered all the personnel of the region to exercise their tasks under his authority and execute his orders and instructions in the interest of the service in accordance with the military regulations and the laws of the Republic.
وقوانين الجمهورية ووفاء لتضحيات شهدائنا الأبرار وتخليدا لقيم ثورتنا المجيدة.
The Army General, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, supervised the ceremony of handing over the national emblem. After signing the minutes of the handover, the Army General held a meeting with the commands, the staff and the personnel of the 2nd Military Region Headquarters, where he delivered an orientation speech broadcast to all the units of the region via video conference.
إن تاريخ الشعوب ليس إلا سلسلة من المعارك المتتالية.
At the beginning of his speech, Army General stressed that the history of peoples is a series of successive battles, and our most important battles today are those of liberating minds from the dangers of intellectual submission and plans targeting the foundations of national identity. He added that our army emerged victorious from the battle of independence, and our victory in the battle of terrorism is only a new weapon in our possession, which we must appreciate and use with intelligence and insight to face a new battle that is as important as the previous ones, that of preserving our national identity and keeping resilient in an unstable world.
ونستعمله بذكاء وفطنة لخوض معركة أخرى لا تقل أهمية من سابقاتها، ألا وهي معركة الحفاظ على هويتنا وإثبات الذات في عالم مضطرب. هي معركة صعبة لأن العدو فيها غير ظاهر ويستعمل أساليب خفية وخبيثة.
The Army General added that this kind of battles are tough, as the enemy uses hidden and malicious methods aimed at breaking the will of the people and perpetuating the factors of their backwardness in order to facilitate control over them and continue the process of plundering their wealth and capabilities, which requires understanding the background and dimensions of these battles and defining their methods and tools in order to take the necessary precautions.
معها كل الحدود بين الدول وتغير معها مفهوم الأمن والدفاع الوطني.
Army General also emphasized that the Department of National Defense requires the adoption of a comprehensive strategy in order to achieve national goals and protect the vital and strategic interests of our country, especially through the involvement of national elites who are able to contribute to activating this approach.
فدفاعنا الوطني بمفهومه الموسع تتطلب تبني استراتيجية شاملة تعني استخدام كل القدرات العسكرية وغيرها.
This global approach requires for its implementation the involvement of the national elites who are able to contribute to the implementation of this approach, especially through first monitoring all the poisonous media, cultural and intellectual content that targets our national identity and our social and popular harmony. Secondly, proposing countermeasures that must be taken to confront these intense campaigns that our country is subjected to on all fronts and levels, notably on the educational level, which has been entrusted with the task of preparing and arming our emerging and young human resources to lead tomorrow's battles and preserve the cultural and civilizational heritage of our brave ancestors.
لخوض غمار معارك الغد والحفاظ على الموروث الثقافي والحضاري لأسلافنا الميامين.
At the end of this meeting, the Army General Said Shingriha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, followed the interventions of the executives and personnel of the 2nd Military Region and listened to their concerns.
Still with the military institution, which keeps providing the different institutions with Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Further, 384 vehicles were delivered to the Central Directorate of the National Defense Ministry. More details with our field reporter, Najah Diyar.
The delivery ceremony took place in Riba at the 1st Military Region. National production vehicles of 384 trucks and buses were delivered. Also 267 Mercedes-Benz brand vehicles manufactured by the Vehicle Industry Development Establishment in the 2nd Military Region under the supervision of the Military Manufacturing Directorate of the National Defense Ministry for the benefit of the Central Equipment Department of the National Defense Ministry, of public administrations and companies as well as private sector companies. As a part of the implementation of the economic recovery program initiated by the Command of the National People's Army headed by the President of the Republic and in line with the instructions of the Army General's Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, the National Defense Ministry Department of Industry has recorded a great activity in the field of the trucks and buses manufacturing in order to meet the needs of the National Defense Ministry and participate in the development of the national economy. We delivered today 267 Mercedes-Benz heavy trucks and 117 SNVI brand trucks. Each year we reserve a quota of trucks and commercial vehicles to meet the demand of the military institutions and public and private companies. Meeting the needs of the national market is a challenge that the company has taken up according to the current economic data. Today we received 81 vehicles of different types that will be delivered to the public establishment of the province responsible for transporting household waste. Worth to be mentioned, this new operation is a part of the dynamics of previous deliveries, which confirms the potentials of this company to satisfy the orders of its customers with high-quality products that meet the international standards, in addition to the strict compliance with the deadlines of delivery.
In another development and during a plenary session chaired by the President of the Senate, Salah Goujil, the 2023 finance law was presented on Monday at the Council of the Nation's premises. The text adopted by MPs will be debated by the senators, a text which preserves the budgetary balance and reinforces the purchasing power via a salary increase. In addition to allowances and unemployment grants, it also includes provisions to boost investments. The Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, held on Monday an evaluation meeting on the work of the inquiry mission of the Committee for Education, Higher Education, Scientific Research and Religious Affairs. The committee made a presentation regarding the results recorded after examining a number of educational institutions, an occasion for Boughali to emphasize the importance of inquiry missions in voicing the grievances of the citizens. In other news, the former Minister of Religious Affairs, Professor Saeed Shiban, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 97, was buried on Monday in Sidi Lamar Sharif in Buira province. The burial ceremony took place in the presence of the Minister of Mujahideen, Laïd Biga, the President of the Republic's advisor in charge of Archives and National Memory, Abdelmajid Sheikhi, as well as the Dean of the Grand Mosque of Algiers, Sheikh Amoun Al-Qasimi Al-Hassini. In Morocco, a large-scale condemnation due to the repression suffered by the citizens and the human rights activists as the security services of the Makhzen regime do not hesitate to use the most violent repressive methods against the demonstrators. Story by Najah Diyar.
The street is still booming in Morocco. The Social Front is determined to continue its demonstrations until its rights are restored. In the face of the injustice and misery, the Moroccans are stepping up to the plate, and according to the members of the Moroccan Association of Human Rights, the violations of human rights in Morocco have multiplied during the last period and extended to categories that were previously spared. The violation of the basic human rights of the Moroccan citizens, such as the right to work, has led to high rates of unemployment and poverty. Freedom of press and that of speech are also affected by these violations, such as the right to protest and demonstrate peacefully. The Moroccan people are in a dire situation of a planned repression of who express their minds and object or criticize. Today is a day of anger and objection to the oppression policy and the normalization with the Zionist entity. Our demonstration is about these matters, given that they are linked. We are demanding the end of the social and economic violations, the high prices and the unemployment issues, in addition to all the other forms of social and economic human rights violations.
ولا يعني الإجهاز على الحقوق الاجتماعية والاقتصادية الغلاء والبطالة وغير ذلك من أوجه.
Concerning this same situation, the Moroccan Social Front condemned the repression of the citizens, in particular human rights activists, by the security services during the various sit-ins, emphasizing that the authorities bear full responsibility for what happened. This political situation and the violation of rights is taking new forms. We have become used to the injustice, but these days it turns even worse with the new methods, the attempts of the political system to put on table the moral crimes, robbery and money laundering are meant to hide their political crimes against journalists, activists and the opponents. These won't be hidden anymore, and now the world knows all the truth. The countdown has already begun for this anachronistic and corrupt regime.
Still in Morocco, where the protest movements are doubling, one of the main reasons is the 2023 finance law, the text of which does not contain any provisions to help with the purchasing power. Even worse, it contains measures that may further complicate the already chaotic socio-economic situation. More insights in the following report.
A country facing an unprecedented social crisis that has witnessed the streets taken over by demonstrators for months. Morocco plunged into a complete chaos and extreme poverty and are going through the worst crisis in their history. The rise of prices has affected all products without exception, starting with basic foodstuffs. Fuel has also been hit by the rise of prices, driving more Moroccans into misery. We are here to demonstrate against this shameful policy which works against the Moroccan people. The finance law doesn't reflect the aspirations of the Moroccan population. It doesn't contain any budget for employment sector, nor for the health sector or housing. The new finance law only serves the upper class.
ولا التشغيل ولا السكن ما كيعكس حقيقة الشعار ديال الدولة الاجتماعية.
الجبهة الاجتماعية المغربية خارجة اليوم في الاحتجاج مسيرة وطنية ضد الغلاء ديال الأسعار.
We are trying to survive in a country that faces a huge hike in prices of all products.
اللي نضافوا للنادي ديال الفقراء الفوارق الاجتماعيه والمجاليه تتسع يوما بعد يوم، وهذا الشيء كله بسبب اختيارات اللي هي استراتيجيه واللي زادت هذه الحكومه وكتعمق فيها.
The protest movement that brings together all segments of the Moroccan society is a response intended to shed light on the root causes of the prices hike of all products, which is the responsibility of the government, and also to denounce the political tendency against the freedom of speech and to condemn the repressive move of the Mahzen regime.
And we are going to turn to a bit of World Cup news now. Croatia is in the quarterfinals after beating Japan on penalty shootouts. For their part, the Brazilian side secured qualification to the same phase following their crushing victory over South Korea with 4-1. And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in and goodbye.